Halloween from 1978, the classic John Carpenter movie. This movie has a very interesting copy with the Blockbuster Presents logo on the side. And today we're going to talk about this VHS copy, as well as the movie itself and my thoughts on it.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Welcome back to Fright Club 2024 on the Ectoviolence channel. My name is Alec. Today we're talking about 1978's Halloween on VHS. Now, if you don't know a lot about VHS, you might think this is that looks like a rare copy, an ultra rare copy. No, this is actually one of the more common copies of Halloween you can find, and that's why I have it. Lots of Blockbuster stuff goes for high dollar, but this does have a Blockbuster logo there, and you know, it's kind of like Blockbuster, Halloween, Blockbuster. They also did Night of the Living Dead. They did some other tapes that weren't horror as well. They didn't do a bunch of these, but basically before Blockbuster was printing these, Media Distribution was putting them out. They went out of business, and Blockbuster held the rights for 2 years for physical media on Halloween, before eventually Anchor Bay took over. Let's go ahead and pop this tape in, shall we? Now, the first thing you're going to see is obviously a classic FBI warning, just like any tape. And we're getting right into the movie. There are no trailers, there's no promotional Blockbuster stuff, which is shocking. You'd think that they would put trailers for their own store and stuff like that, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, if you have this, you know what Blockbuster is. Like, you're not, oh, well, I better go rent a tape. You're holding this, you're watching this, you know. We gotta talk about this classic intro. It's absolutely amazing with the pumpkin and the text and the theme song. John Carpenter, am I right? Multi-talented, awesome person all around. And this is one of the classics. This movie 100% paved the way for future slasher movies and how they would do things. And I appreciate how this movie starts with the 1963 backstory and you get your first kill, Judith Myers. The point of view through the mask, like all this stuff really just works, and it kind of seems overdone when you watch it now, if you're thinking about all the movies that have come out since. Now, if you're here watching this, chances are you've seen some Scream movies, so I don't need to tell you that Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw both came before this. Psycho was before that. Peeping Tom was before that. We'll just leave it at that. I do think the introduction of Loomis is very interesting, you know. This dark and rainy night, he's in this car. Very interesting character going forward in the future. Gets more unhinged as the movies go on. Solid performance and character in this movie, though. Obviously, you have Laurie Strode, portrayed by Jamie Lee Curtis. Another extremely iconic character, right? One that, to this day, people are still talking about. And she was in another Halloween movie in the last 2 years, so. You get the introduction of Tommy, which would later go on to be a bigger character in other movies, too, being portrayed by Paul Rudd and later Anthony Michael Hall. All the stuff with the Halloween shots and just like the decorations and the pumpkins, all that stuff really just works and takes you back. Like, that's why this is a perfect movie to watch during the Halloween season, obviously. All the shots of him stalking her and just like showing, like driving the car by and outside by the hedge, you know, all these iconic shots that we've all seen 100 times now, you know, there's t-shirts with these shots. Him outside the sheets in the laundry. And then you get Loomis's speech that is very reminiscent of the speech from Jaws, in my opinion. Maybe it's just the reference to the black eyes.
The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
What are you doing? Are you doing the speech from Jaws?
Are you doing Jaws?
It's obviously been mentioned before, but it's cool foreshadowing to see The Thing from Another World on the TV here. The kids watching it. John Carpenter later goes on to direct The Thing, and it becomes a cult classic. Obviously, it bombed in the theaters and became one of the most iconic horror movies ever. Easily in my top 5. Top 3, probably, horror movies of all time. Now, talking about the kills in Halloween, right? We mentioned Judith Myers before. So Judith Myers, his sister, that's a very quick kind of kill. Very abrupt, though, and I'm sure in the time, like 1978, people watching this were like, holy crap. I mean, I remember watching this when it was on cable during an October for the first time when I was like 11 or 12. Because usually what would happen is I'd see a random sequel, like Halloween 4, 5, 6, something like that, playing on TV. But I was lucky to catch the original. And this movie's a lot like Jaws. It's a little slow going, you know, you definitely see Michael Myers more than the shark. But the second kill is the guy from the garage. This is an off-screen kill, but he kills him, presumably takes his little outfit. Okay, then the third kill is a dog. And it's not maybe the dog you're thinking of, because it's kind of just mentioned and it's off screen. They don't exactly show it or anything.
What's that? It's a dog. It's still warm.
He got hungry.
They later flash back to Halloween Kills, and show the dog's corpse, and it's like half eaten. Presumably Michael Myers is also eating dogs now. Number 4, Lester. Now this is the dog that you are probably thinking of, the dog that Michael Myers strangles, because he's a butthead. We do not stand Michael Myers. This guy ain't cool, he ain't suave. Number 5 is Annie, and she is strangled and her throat is slit. Pretty sick. You know, some of these old movies, these slasher movies, start with really small body counts, you know. By the time you get to the later ones, it's all about racking up kills. And so a movie like this having 6-7 kills in it, and then you get to like Halloween Kills, and I don't know, there's probably 19-20 kills in that movie. Halloween ends the same way. Number 6 is Bob in the kitchen with a knife. It's like playing Clue describing these kills, but he's pinned against, and this is one that always kind of seemed like, I'm not buying it. That knife ain't holding him up. You ain't stabbing that all the way through him, but I guess that's just Michael Myers for you. That's horror movies. And number 7, Linda, who's strangled with a phone cord. Shit, dude, that's gotta suck. It just doesn't sound fun. So now let's talk about the positives and the negatives. Starting with the positives of Halloween. So the cast and characters, obviously, we talked briefly about all this at the beginning, but Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, excellent jobs. PJ Soles as well, big fan. This movie's now 46 years old, and these performances, they hold up. I was thinking today, Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in Screaming for Help is pretty accurate, because you'd just be yelling all sorts of crazy shit when you're being chased by lunatics, right? Another positive is the design and just like the layouts of these shots. Mostly the stalking shots and all the weird spooky stuff with Michael Myers, but all that stuff is just framed up so well. The design as well, again, mostly the Halloween decorations and all that kind of stuff. Again, vintage Halloween decorations, that's honestly a way straight to my heart, so whenever you see any sort of Halloween stores in these old movies, and especially in these Halloween movies, don't get me started on the Mask Factory in Halloween 3, or the drugstore in I think it's Halloween 4. Now obviously the music, we mentioned John Carpenter before, the music is just executed so well, and a lot of people will tell you that the best piece of music from this movie is the Halloween theme. I'm here to disagree and say that it's Laurie's theme. I think it's more iconic, it's more brooding, it's darker, I just like it more, you know? I don't know, just a preference. Maybe I'm just tired of the Halloween theme because it's something I've been hearing my whole life, even before I saw the movies, you know. Again, I mentioned the performances, and I think that adds to the realism. This movie, for the most part, other than a few weird things with the kills, feels like it's something that could actually happen in a real Earth. I mean, there's a couple leaps here and there, but nothing that's crazy, you know. It's nothing sci-fi yet, nothing supernatural. And with that, let's talk about the negatives of Halloween 1978. Okay, there aren't going to be many, right? If anything, I could see someone saying it's slow-paced. However, I think it gives you just enough every now and then to be very interested throughout. Particularly the first, 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes are just, I'm glued to the television. And some of the kills, because of things like budget and it being early for these kind of effects and early for these types of movies, some of the kills aren't as elaborate and crazy as they would later go on to be. But again, this is nitpicking. It's just kind of, if I had to say negative things about this movie, what would I say? That would probably be the only things that could come to mind. And before I rate Halloween on VHS, why don't you go ahead and jump in the comments down below, let me know what you think of Halloween 1978. And I'm going to give Halloween from 1978 a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now you may be saying, why isn't it getting 5 stars? Because it's just not exactly my favorite. I do love it. I think it's iconic, and even watching it this time, I think my opinion went up on it. I think before, if I hadn't watched this tape, I probably would have said 4 out of 5. But I think I gained a little bit more appreciation for it. If you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.